Welcome into the X-Bomb Sports live show. I'll be your host for today. I'm Drew Gwillem, and with me, Andrew Valentin.
How you doing, everybody?
He's here
I am.
in a different seat.
Yeah.
Still looking good.
Thank you.
Still shading up.
Yeah. You know what? I have to just because it's the look now.
It's your thing.
It's
the go-to.
It is, even though everybody bashes me about it.
Yeah. Leave him alone.
Yeah. Well, you know what? After today, it's only gonna get worse. It can only get worse after today, I'm sure.
Well, speaking of, why don't we get right into it?
Let's do it.
And
man.
you can give the fans a reason to throw shade your way.
Yeah, why not?
Just for your opinions.
Yeah,
well, you know what? They're opinions. Opinions are like a-holes. Everybody has one. Okay? Doesn't mean that you have to give them a hard time about it. Yeah. Right. Well, let's do it. Let's get right into it. We are talking Bears to start today. Robert Quinn hasn't shown up. With a little uncertainty around the Bears' Robert Quinn holding out of minicamp amid some trade rumors. Okay? Now, Robert Quinn, his 2021 stats, 16 games, 49 total tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 18 and a half sacks, which was a franchise record, which, if you think about the pass rushers of the past for the Bears, the linebackers of the past for the Bears, I'd say it's a pretty big record to break.
Oh, absolutely. He's in good company.
Exactly. And 4 forced fumbles. Now, 2022 contract is going to be a $17 million cap hit. $12.7 million dead cap hit.
Oh, man.
2 years, $35.4 million remaining on his deal. Is Robert Quinn going to show up? Is Robert Quinn going to be traded? What's your take on how this situation is going to play out, and will he be a Bear to start the season this year?
Honestly, I was thinking about this a lot, like on the way over. Well, obviously, getting ready to talk about this. I honestly think that at some point he will get back into camp just because I think he knows that at this point where he's at in his career, like he's unfortunately getting to the latter years of his career, right? He certainly hit a high last year for the Bears, which is great. I mean, bravo to you, sir, for sure. But I think he also recognizes, too, that the market that's out there for him, while certainly is wide open, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to be clamoring for his name right off the get-go, right? There's certainly a lot of teams, I think, that would take him, maybe some that would even take him back potentially, right? But I think he will go back into camp. But I do also think that there is a good chance he will be traded because, again, his value is probably at its highest that it's been since he was drafted, I would say, since he was a first-round pick as a rookie. So I do think that he will eventually get moved on from, but I do think he will be in training camp at some point. But I don't know exactly when that is. And I don't really know if he needs to at this point, right? We know who he is. He knows who he is. It's just rather about staying in shape at this point for him, which is obviously something we've been concerned about with him in the past.
Yes, because the Bears have had that same situation with him coming in and not being ready to play his first season with the Bears. This is a weird one for me because it started out with Robert Quinn saying he wants to be here. He thinks that he'll be here. He thinks that this is where he wants to be. This is where he wants to continue to play.
Yeah.
And then there was some rumors around draft time that potentially maybe he could be traded. Another guy pushed out with Mack and some of the other big contract guys that had dead cap hits for this team that they needed to reset, and this was the way.
Yeah.
Ooh, Mandalorian, this is the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is the way.
This is the way, which it is the way.
Absolutely.
You need to take that hit this year. Because, like we've said, this is an evaluation year for the new regime to figure out what they have on this team, talent-wise, to go forward to build, hopefully, what is a Super Bowl team.
Right.
I think it's only a matter of time before Quinn gets traded. I don't know how long he's going to continue this holdout because I'm kind of getting two different sides of it here. Like, he says one thing and then holds out and doesn't show up. It's like, all right, well, does he just think that they're going to trade him and doesn't want to risk going out there and getting hurt?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think this is a difficult situation, especially for him, because if he does get hurt, well, that's going to be bad for him, obviously, in his career, because then your value has now diminished. So how many people are going to want you if you have an injury, especially if it's a lasting injury? And then it hurts the Bears, too, because Well, if you are going to trade him, then now that value significantly goes down, right? I mean, this is a guy that might be able to bring you back some significant, like a second, maybe even a third round draft pick, depending on the team, of course.
Right.
But he could bring you back something of significant value for the future. So the question is, and this is where I hear a lot of fans saying, I'm glad he's sitting out or he needs to get into training camp. It's such a two-way street on this.
Right.
Because it's like, yeah, I would love to have him in there, get with the team, get in, be there with them, be a leader, whatever, and be in shape. That's key for me, especially, I think for all of us, especially with what we've seen. But I also think, too, like, yeah, if he does get hurt, like, that
value's gone.
Yeah, and you don't want to see that. So I think if he's sitting up because of the trade rumors, then if that's the case, if he's that adamant to say I'm sitting up because of that, then I think that's the Bears' chance to say, okay, then let's start looking for a trade. Let's make this move now.
Well, see, if he was sitting out, I would hope that they're already in that process, and hopefully they've had these conversations with them, and hopefully it's just kind of like, hey, we're not going to just say everything to the media.
Yeah.
We're going to keep this kind of behind closed doors and try and work out a deal with somebody, maybe even potentially be a piece to go get one of these disgruntled wide receivers who are looking for a deal.
Yeah,
he could be a piece along with draft pick for next year.
Mm-hmm.
That could be something to bring in a weapon for Justin Fields. I know they're not going to win anything this year.
Right.
Maybe they do just want to lose as many games as possible.
Right.
But there's some people saying that this team could win 7-8 games, which I don't know how, but if that's the case, then why would you trade him?
Right.
If they think they can win that many games, why would you?
Right.
But at the same time, if they think they can win that many games and they don't want to win that many games this year, then maybe they do.
It's a very topsy-turvy kind of thing. I mean, look, from what I've seen so far, this came from the fan-sided website. So this is their kind of projection. They always do like the top 3 trades or whatever sometimes, or the top 5 moves that could make. They had one for Robert Quinn. I thought these were interesting moves. So one of them was Robert Quinn straight up to Denver for offensive guard Dalton Reiser, who is well regarded as one of the top interior offensive linemen, which certainly fits something the Bears are looking for, right? They've brought in a lot of young pieces to help the offensive line. This gives you a veteran piece to sit alongside either Larry Borom or Tevin Jenkins or whoever's going to be at that left tackle or the right tackle spot. He's a great interior kind of guy. The other one was trading Quinn, next year's second rounder, and next year's fifth rounder for Miami's first round pick, since obviously Miami's kind of going all in, it seems like, to try and be very competitive. If this is another move they want to make to stay on that level, obviously that defense is already pretty solid. If it gives the Bears another first round pick, and if you're talking about a rebuild, I think give them 2 first round picks. If not, you might be able to move that pick, right? You might be able to even move that pick, like you said, for one of these wide receivers that's potentially disgruntled. And then the other one was trading him to Philly for their second and third round pick, because obviously Philly looks like they're going to be competitive, and I think they want to get a little bit of help on that edge rush right now, and he's been a solid guy coming out as a linebacker, defensive end kind of guy. So those right now are the 3 trades I'm looking at that I think if you're going to trade Robert Quinn, I like the Miami move. I know you're giving up a second round pick, but you're adding a first round pick, so if you're even not moving it for a receiver, guess what? You get 2 first round picks. You can go draft one next year.
Yeah.
Because there's a ton of guys coming out next year. You can get more help on the defense, get more help on the offensive line. Now is the time to move him, I think, more than ever. Because
I agree.
Right now, you have the best value, and you have him not injured, sitting at home, staying healthy, hopefully working out, and not like Tarik Cohen working out, right?
Yeah.
Don't do what Tarik Cohen did. Please don't. So I think now is the time to start, like you said, if they've probably already been talking, so I think now is the time to make the move, especially now that it's kind of becoming public too.
Yeah, it's like, don't sit on your assets.
Right.
You have a quality asset right here that you can go and get some value for the future, which is what this team is about, the future. It's not about the now. Robert Quinn's not going to be here for the future. He's an older player. He doesn't have that much time left in his career.
Yeah.
So when the Bears are ready to win, Robert Quinn's not going to be here. And for that reason, they should absolutely sell high on him and get as much as they can back for him at his highest point.
Absolutely.
But on the other side of the ball, we do have the offense and a young quarterback in Justin Fields that basically, I almost want to say it was like a red shirt year for him last year, because he didn't get any help.
I like to call it the Trubisky year because it felt like it was the same thing we saw with Trubisky, really.
Yeah,
in his rookie year.
Which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
That these things continually happen to the quarterbacks that come in here.
Yes.
But Justin Fields is not too high on the offense right now.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't think they are ready to play in a game right now, which naturally you wouldn't think so.
Right.
This is the start of ramping things up. This is the very beginning. Guys coming out of their off season aren't usually typically ready to go.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're staying in shape and still working out and doing things in the off season like a professional should to be at their best.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that are the best in the NFL who take care of their business in the off season and don't just sit, eat Cheetos, and watch TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've learned that the hard way myself.
But so I'm not concerned about his comments, thinking that this team's not ready to play in a game right now.
Right.
Because obviously, to me, that's an obvious statement.
Yes.
But did you make anything of these statements from him? And what do you think of the offense as things get ramped up and going forward?
I mean, I've kind of watched the few videos that I've seen. I get what I think he's trying to say maybe with this, which is it's a new offense. Luke Getsy's a whole new offensive coordinator. You know, it's not like they're not familiar with this guy. Obviously, his offense is something they saw in Green Bay with Nathaniel Hackett. It's not too different, but it's also kind of his own thing at the same time, right? He's putting his own implement on sort of a new age West Coast kind of offense that is mixing in a lot of motion, having a lot of rollouts. And so I think Fields is still trying to get used to this, and I think his statement saying that, I don't think it's too much to it. I know there's people that are going to read a lot into it and say, oh, no, this is going to be terrible. Don't worry, because they're still learning it, right? They're still getting used to it. They've got young rookies that are still trying to put into this offense. They've got guys now that I think are going to start to fit this offense a little bit more. I mean, we've kind of started, day 2, from what I've understood, even though the offense had, I think, a few struggles going on for this mini camp, Eberflus said that Fields looked great. He threw some really nice passes. He's starting to show his arm strength, his accuracy. And the biggest thing I've heard, too, is that his demeanor and the fact that he even kind of came out and said this, too, apparently has also got some of these guys juiced up because you're already kind of saying, hey, we're not ready, which means everybody, it's like, okay, so we have to get ready. And I like that. He's taking the lead. He's taking the role of a leader on this team. As a first-tier quarterback who had a rough patch in his rookie year, to say we're not ready as kind of like taking the reins and saying, but we will get ready. And that's the thing. And in that statement, he says, when we are ready, it'll happen. We will perform. And I love that. That's him saying, this is my offense. I'm the quarterback. I'm going to make sure that we are prepared. I think that's great. That's him taking another step, right? That's him making sure he's prepared for the next level. And I full-heartedly endorse him saying that. Yeah, don't be freaked out. Just it's there.
And I believe he even made the comment earlier, like in the past, that last year going into the season, he knew Andy Dalton was the starter.
Right.
He didn't have that mode to be the guy that stepped up and was a voice for the team.
Yeah.
As a leader, because he was coming in as a rookie and he wasn't even going to be the starter.
Right.
This year he is 100% going in as the starter.
Yeah.
The number 1 quarterback.
There's no question.
A leader of this team. He showed those things last year as well.
Yeah.
He just wasn't as vocal as I think he's going to be about it this year.
Absolutely.
Knowing that he's the guy, he's the one that has to produce and help make this team better.
Yeah.
I love what I've seen between him and Mooney so far, kind of gelling together as
they're thick as thieves at this point. They are
as friends and on the field, kind of pushing like we talked about yesterday as well, about these players pushing it, like with Baker and Matt Corral.
Yes.
They're becoming friends and pushing each other to be better players on the field.
Absolutely. I mean, this is exactly what we wanted to see. This is what we all thought was going to happen with Robinson. Robinson's looking like, oh, yeah, I got a guy that could get me the ball. But it was clear that he never made the attempt, or at least from what we can tell, it looked like he never made the attempt to try to really get to know Justin Fields outside of just being his quarterback. And I think that is a relationship that can exist, yes, but it's not a healthy one if you want to be better than what you are. Because then you're not trusting your wide receiver. How can you? I mean, he's a young quarterback. He should be able to trust Allen Robinson. If you're not getting to know him, if he doesn't really get to know you, how are you supposed to be able to feel like you're on the same page? That's why Mooney was able to do so well last year. That's why we saw such a good connection between the two of them. And I think it's starting to expand more. I think, like you said, Fields kind of was a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Introverted, I think is it, right? Where you're kind of more kept in.
Yeah.
I think he was a little bit more introverted because he's the rookie. You know, he knows his first round pick. He's still very fun with the guys, but he's not trying to get to know everybody. Now, it seems like he's trying to get to know everyone on the roster, offense, defense, because he wants everybody to believe in him and trust him and say, he's our guy. Our offense follows him. We follow suit with him. We need a quarterback to compete in this league, and he's the guy that we can compete with.
I'm with you. I like how vocal he is more now.
Yeah.
And I guess he was last year. It was a different situation going into the season and the way it played out. Where
it was the same thing that happened when he was at Georgia. For those who don't know, when he was at Georgia, Jake Fromm was the starter over him. Obviously, look, he was head and shoulders above Jake Fromm, but Kirby Smart was like, the veteran gets the start. Like, we just went to a national title with this kid. We're not about to drop him. And I think what happened there, obviously, he then transferred out to Ohio State. I think that was a smart move, but it was the same thing there where he just was like, okay, I'm the number one quarterback in the country, or dual threat quarterback, but I'm not the starter. So it's the same situation. Then when he got to Ohio State, okay, I'm the guy. Everybody can trust me. And you saw how that affected that team. They became extremely good. Yeah. National championship caliber good.
Unfortunately.
Sorry. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm glad he played well because
absolutely.
It shows what he's capable of.
Yes.
And what we hope we get to see it on the field when he's wearing a Bears uniform.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But some more bright spots for this team so far. We've had tight end Cole Kmet.
Yep.
Equanimous St. Brown and running back. Was it Travis Ebner, I believe?
Treston
Ebner.
Yes.
Okay. They've been making a little noise in practice.
Yeah.
Which Cole Kmet is about damn time. I think.
Guy, it was do or die at this point, so I'm glad we're starting to hear this.
It has to show, for me, Cole Kmet has to show something this year. St. Brown was buried on the depth chart there, and Ebner's a rookie. So hearing these things and maybe seeing some of them on some video clips.
Yeah.
What do you see from these guys? Are you hopeful this will translate into the regular season? And what kind of noise you think these guys are going to make?
Well, I mean, first off, for Cole Kmet, like I said, do or die, right? This is it. You either make this is supposed to be the guy that was supposed to be baby Gronk, right? He was supposed to be 6'6", 260, barreling through everybody, red zone, end zone kind of guy. And he just hasn't performed. You know, now you could say, well, that's the quarterback situation and all that stuff in the offensive line. Yeah, but he's had his moments going into the end zone, right? He's had those opportunities to be able to be that kind of a player, and he just hasn't lived up to that hype. So my hope is that this is kind of the year. I mean, I need to see him hit like 800 yards, like double-digit touchdowns. He needs to be a consistently in the end zone tight end for the Bears, I think, to find a reason to give him any sort of extension, sign him to any sort of deal that would keep him on the team. I like the fact that St. Brown's actually stepping up. I know he's a bit of an older receiver, but look, he's a 6'5".
He's a big guy.
Yeah. He's a big, easy target you can throw the ball up to. Is he
fast.
And he's fast. Is he going to be like the number 2 across from Mooney? I mean, right now, maybe. I know they really like Velus Jones Jr. kind of being opposite of him. I will say this. The positives that have come out for Velus have been he has had some good catches at times. He certainly shows his speed, and his special teams ability is there. The problem's
not really high on him.
But the problems I keep seeing with him is that he doesn't always run the right routes. He sometimes gets mixed up with the offensive signals, and his catching ability, he has dropped a few like easy ones at times too. You can say I'm hating on the guy all you want. That's fine. You say I hate on everybody anyway, so that's on you guys. But I think if this is kind of the guy that's starting to emerge, I say start looking to him to make, because he's a big target, and go with the bigger targets. I mean, who doesn't like a Chase Claypool on their team? I mean, as long as his attitude's okay. And St. Brown doesn't say anything.
Right.
He hardly ever says a word. So
can we hopefully get a little of his Amon-Ra St. Brown out of
That'd be nice.
Equanimous St. Brown?
I would hope so. I mean, listen,
Just a little.
Amon-Ra says, according to Amon-Ra St. Brown, he says that Equanimous is the best athlete of the brothers. That's what he says. I mean, that is...
So far, no.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing is that, I mean, except for the fact that the one that's saying that happened to be the top receiver in his recruiting class and was really good with the Lions last year and probably will only get better, I'm sure, at this point.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that he's right. I'm not asking for a lot from him because I'm expecting if that's the case, he's the number, like the other starting receiver, then Mooney's going to be your number one guy. So then I'm expecting him to at least be a good complementary possession receiver, right? Run the short routes, the intermediate routes, go over the middle, catch a pass, be a red zone guy. You don't need 1,000 yards from him. If you do, great. But I think it's Mooney that's going to be the big receiver then.
Right.
But overall, I mean, and just real quick for Ebner, I'll say this too. I was not expecting a lot from him. He looks like he's going to be a good option coming out of the backfield as a receiver. Going to be a good special teams guy. I still have a lot of questions on him because he's a rookie, but he looks like he can play. So I like it. I like where they're going.
Yeah. Cole Kmet, he needs to be that big, huge option over the middle.
Yes.
He needs to be that safety. Why am I blanking? That safety valve.
Yeah.
He needs to be that safety valve for Justin Fields when he gets too much pressure, or he needs to find somebody open. You look for the big tight end.
Right.
He needs to be that guy.
Everybody wants them now.
He needs to make that next step. I think a lot of it is just poor offense designs by Nagy and the previous teams.
Yeah.
Not getting him in the right place, not doing anything really well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so getting a new offense in here, hopefully run the right way. We can see some of these players do more because they're put in the right position to play.
Right.
Anything positive out of St. Brown is a victory. Yeah. That's a win.
It's a
right
plus,
there.
Yeah.
Anything positive you get out of him is a win. So for him and rookie Ebner, same thing. You drafted him later on in the draft. You hope he turns into something, and he's making noise now. Yeah. Okay, you're in shorts and shells. You're in a helmet.
Yeah.
You're not in full pads. We'll see. Everything changes once you put those full pads on. So it's going to change things a lot. These guys may not even look good at that point. But seeing some bright spots. I believe I heard 5th round offensive lineman who's been put at left tackle. I'm blanking on his name now.
Yeah, Thomas. Yeah.
Yes,
San Diego
has
State,
been a guy that they've been playing at left tackle over a 2nd round pick that they had last year.
Yes, sir.
So they might find that might be another bright spot of a guy that they found that could start day one on the offensive line.
It's just really nice to look at that offensive line and go, wow, we've got depth. And depth that's like not hurt. Like that's the key thing. Like last year, I mean, my God, how many times did we hear in mini camp, training camp, guys, this guy's hurt, that guy's hurt, this guy's hurt, that guy. This is like, it's like a lot of rookies that are going to be backups. It's a lot of depth that they're going to have behind everybody. And it's just nice to know young, fresh legs, young, fresh knees as well.
Yeah, right.
That are going to be behind the more veteran guys and maybe working their way to the starting lineup. I like, and I'll say this too, overall, they have an identity starting to go for themselves. And that's nice too. Eberflus is making it critical to know that they have an identity. And I think with the success we're seeing maybe from this training camp, from the OTAs and all this stuff, and the mini camp and everything, I think you're going to start to see a Bears team that's coming together for the future. I really do.
Yeah, I can only hope so. And speaking of the future, we already kind of touched on it a little bit, but there's some disgruntled wide receivers out there that potentially could be players to think about adding to this team by way of trade to get them out of their situation that they're unhappy with. One of those players is a very large, very fast man by the name of DK Metcalf.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows the meme out there and the game where DK Metcalf chased down Budda Baker. There was a big gap there, and he closed it quickly.
That is insane.
That is still a very ridiculous play, and this dude is a monster on the field as well. Along with him, Washington wide receiver Terry McLaurin, they haven't been in camps. Ron Rivera says he's not being traded. Their deal will get done with McLaurin. Looking a little less likely that he's going to be on the move than possibly DK Metcalf. What's your take on both of these players and adding them to the Bears? And do you think they're going to be on the move, stay with their teams, and will the Bears get one?
It'd be awesome if they could get both. That's a pipe dream. Listen, that's a pipe dream, of course. Unless you make that Miami trade with Robert Quinn and get that first-round pick, then trade both first-round picks for both receivers. Just saying. You do have the cap. I'm just saying. But that would be the pipe dream,
would make that offense.
Oh, you would hear this city go up and like you would hear an audible scream come from the city of Chicago.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had a preference between one or the other, though, because I'm sure it's come down to that, I would actually rather have Terry McLaurin myself, just because the consistency of his ability to be able to make a quarterback better with what you saw from a guy like Taylor Heineke. Not to say Heineke can't play. He can certainly play. But I think you can arguably say that Terry McLaurin made him a better quarterback with every single throw that he was making his way. He's a receiver, like I like to say, like Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald made every quarterback he played with that much better, including Kurt Warner, who we already knew was like a Hall of Famer by the time he got there. But I feel like Terry McLaurin's that kind of guy. DK is a big play guy. But in between the two of them, like you said, Terry's the guy that right now Ron Rivera says, we're not moving on from him. DK is the guy that right now in Seattle, they don't know what's going to go on. They don't have a certainty. The projection is they're going to take a quarterback next year, but they have to lose 12 games probably to get that pick. And he doesn't probably want to wait for that. So why not come to a city in Chicago where there's a young established quarterback that's possibly bigger, stronger Russell Wilson, maybe a lighter version of Patrick Mahomes potentially. That's on the upside, of course, but that you can absolutely help grow, that you can be the target for, because him coming in takes pressure off of Mooney, allows him to have two downfield threats that he can throw the ball to, and allows the game to open up more for guys like Cole Kmet and Equanimeous St. Brown or whoever else is going to be in the game, right? Even Velus Jones Jr. all of a sudden can maybe find his way to being an open target when two guys like that are flying up the field, one's 6'4", the other one's 5'9", but they both run like a 4.3 40-yard dash. It's hard to beat those guys. So if I were the Bears, I would certainly take a look and make a call to see how much it's going to cost to get DK. I'm sure it's going to cost your first-round draft pick. Again, though, you make the move for Robert Quinn to Miami. If that's a real thing, you get another first-round pick, spend one of your first-round picks to go get DK Metcalf, bring him in, give him the extension. You have $99 million next year in cap space. You can just backload the hell out of that contract and have him on the roster. And that's the closest thing to a Brandon Marshall type of receiver they've had in a long time. That's the best wide receiver I remember the Bears having in the time I've been watching them.
Yeah.
Other than Bernard Berrien, and that's not saying much, unfortunately. It's maybe Mushi Muhammad. I don't know. I don't know which one really was better per se, but this would be that number one receiver that you've been looking for. Okay, maybe Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson qualifies in that too. Right. But I would say he would clearly be the number one go-to guy. He opens up a lot of opportunities for Luke Getsy's offense, for Justin Fields to get better, and gives him another player that he can feel confident with, right? And that's about and this is the thing, get that kid's confidence up. He's already pretty confident as it is, but let's get him to another level. Hey, we're behind you. Look at what we got you. We got you DK Metcalf. And he goes, all right, cool. We're just throwing to the numbers all day to Mooney and Metcalf. Awesome. Eminem all day. Let's do it. Put that on a shirt. Eminem.
Yeah,
Make it happen.
Go. See, for me, I'd rather have DK Metcalf. Don't get me wrong. I would be thrilled with either one of these players.
Absolutely.
Or both, like you said.
Yeah.
Thrilled. Okay? Because they come in and either one of them steps in as your number one wide receiver immediately.
Right.
I want DK Metcalf because I want that big, fast, strong body out there along with a guy like Mooney.
Yeah.
To me, while Terry McLaurin is a much better player than Mooney, I think they do a lot of similar things. Mm-hmm. So you've got, while it's not a problem to have both of them out there,
right,
I'd still rather have that bigger player along with a guy that's a little smaller and has more speed.
Yeah.
But you still get all that speed with DK Metcalf as well, along with that size. For me, I'd rather have Metcalf, but would not be unhappy with either one whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all we have on the Bears and possibilities of bringing in one of these monster big-time wide receivers.
Jeez.
But when we come back, we have comments from a cheetah and one of Andrew's favorite players of all time. And we're going to get right back into that when we come back on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show.
Hey, watch your mouth. Why? I'll just put a quarter in the swear jar. Once it's filled, we get a Coors party after work. I've been drinking Coors since my college days. Cold draft taste, the second stuff. Yeah, worth every quarter, am I right? You know it, mother.
Hey, you get those reports done?
Yeah. No. You, sir. Attention, employees.
The staff meeting, scheduled for this evening, will now be held tomorrow early as
Who's all? Dudes, we're only 75 cents short. Oh, shh. Boss. Hey, sir, go yourself. You're fired! I still get beer.
Welcome back to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. I'm still Drew Gwillem because I'm not changing for any of you. If you don't like it, too bad.
He will never take off that hat, folks.
Nope. Especially not this one.
No, I was gonna say not that one at all.
Yep. Watch yourself. You watch yourself with this hat.
Yeah, I know.
Okay?
I know.
Your damn videos.
Listen, it wasn't a video.
This is still Andrew Valentin, and he's still an ass for putting that crap up. Yep. You want to talk about that again?
No, we don't have to go through that.
Okay.
I know I've triggered you now.
Yep.
Now you're upset.
All right. Anyways, comments from a cheetah.
It's not a good time.
There's a
for you to be
cheetah.
upset.
There's a jungle cat
There is.
that's speaking.
Yes.
I say it like that because it's a crazy thought to think of a jungle cat speaking.
Yeah.
And these comments he made are pretty crazy as well.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill says Tua Tagovailoa is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes.
Yes. Tagovailoa.
Okay. I know this is Tua is one of your favorite players of all time, and I know how much you're gonna just love to get into this laughable comment.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think about what Tyreek Hill said? And is there any? I know you're gonna say no, but is there any truth to these comments?
Believe it or not, I mean, in the statistical sense, sure. These guys are, yes, in the numbers wise, the stats and all that. Yes, Tua is obviously. Excuse me, I get a little gassy talking about BS comments like this. Yeah, when it comes to obviously the numbers, yeah, he's clearly more accurate. I mean, when you're constantly dumping the ball down to your running back and your tight end and, your fourth and fifth option, it's very easy to be accurate. He's the best 2-yard passer I've ever seen in NFL history, I got to tell you. Just I know. I've already started.
Yep.
I think what Tyreek Hill is what he's trying to do when he's trying to say is, he's trying to obviously beef this kid up. He's trying to give him a lot more props. He's being supportive of his quarterback. And I got no problem with being supportive of your teammate, being supportive of the guy that's going to be throwing you the ball. Because listen, at the end of the day, I think Tua knows that he's got two exceptionally talented wide receivers. One of them is one of the best in the league right now. And the other one is probably going to be one of the best in the league in the near future, right? In Jalen Waddle. He's got two guys that he can easily use on any level, along with guys like Cedric Wilson and Mike Gesicki, and he's got a great backfield. He's got so many weapons. The thing, though, is that when you make a statement like this, obviously it attracts attention because
it's insane.
It's insane because you're saying that this quarterback who has only been in the league for 2 years, who's only played a handful of games really, compared to where Patrick Mahomes has kind of had a little bit more of a career on his hands and has certainly accomplished quite a bit in that short amount of time. you're saying that he's more accurate. Yeah, that can be a statement you can make as far as the numbers wise, but it I think also has to go beyond the numbers. It just to me, I get what he's trying to do and I get what he's trying to say, and I know he kind of clarified and said on the long passes, Mahomes is clearly the more accurate quarterback. On intermediate and short passes, that's where Tua is more fluid. I totally agree with that. I do think it was also dumb for him to say, just throw me the ball and let me work, off a slant and stuff. Because he says that now, but then when he's got a linebacker, a safety, and 2 corners coming at him, he'll probably be singing a different tune when he's taking 4 hits from those guys at one time. So, but I think they're crazy nevertheless.
Well, speaking of the numbers, we have his 2021 stats. He went 7-5, 2,653 yards, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 67.8% completion percentage, 6.8 yards per attempt. Very low, like that.
Yeah.
That's mostly what he throws is short and intermediate.
Yeah.
And 10.1 yards per completion.
Yeah.
For his career, he's 13-8, 4,467 yards, 27 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 66.2% completion, 6.6 yards per attempt, and 9.9 yards per completion.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
No, not a lot at all.
No. I think he still has a lot of room to grow.
Absolutely.
If he wants to be the guy that is winning Super Bowls.
Right.
And you win because of, which if you want to win Super Bowls, your quarterback has to be a guy you win because of.
Yes.
It doesn't happen very often when they're not.
No, it doesn't.
So what do these numbers tell you? You see Tua getting better. Do you see him continuing to struggle?
Right.
Because he has no excuses anymore with the talent and the weapons he has on offense now.
I mean, like the lower third has said, obviously the numbers only tell like half the story on that. When you talk about a guy like Tua, his accuracy, again, the numbers wise say he's more accurate than Patrick Mahomes, obviously, no doubt. But the problem is that when you watch the in-game situations and you see that tight, 3-inch window where you can throw the ball, Mahomes can zip it through there like nothing and hit Travis Kelce, McCole Hardman, whoever, right? I mean, Byron Pringle, for crying out loud. He can hit these guys, no problem. They catch the ball, they move upfield, right? He can hit that window.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yes, Juju Smith-Schuster. Justin Ross. Sky Moore is Justin Ross, who should have been a Bear.
Yeah.
But,
yep.
When it comes to Tua, anytime you watch him have that exact same situation, maybe the window's even larger because of the fact that he's still learning and he's still growing. He tries to make that same throw and it's a batted ball or it's intercepted, something, or the receiver's not ready for it. There's a lot of miscommunication on that. Not all the time. Sometimes he makes a throw and I go, wow, that's a pro throw. That's a real kind of throw. But the other thing, obviously, here, too, is that who's he getting compared to, right? It's always going to be Joe Burrow, and it's always going to be Justin Herbert. And the fact that those two guys right now have obviously kind of risen to the top of the league as quarterbacks in just 2 years, which is outstanding, he's kind of getting left in the dust. So now all the pressure is kind of getting loaded on him. And it's just and at the end of the day, too, when you just look at him and Mahomes, they're two different quarterbacks. Two different quarterbacks with two different types of offenses. And now but it feels like you're trying to put the Mahomes offense in Miami, but Tua's not that guy. I mean, I've said this before. This is an offense that's probably would have been better predicated to a Mr. Deshaun Watson. But obviously that did not happen, so now they have to try and work with what they've got.
Like we've said before, quarterbacks don't grow on trees, and there aren't too many Patrick Mahomes out there. And there haven't been too many Patrick Mahomes out there in the NFL altogether.
No, in the history, there's a handful of guys that are legit, like, number one, I can win any game quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And he's one of them.
And definitely win because of a guy that can bring you back from a big deficit. And he's done it before.
I mean, come on, look at his numbers. They're insane.
Let's talk about his numbers. Patrick's pretty good.
Yeah, he is.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
His 2021 stats, he went 12-5, 4,839 yards, 37 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 66.3% completion percentage, 7.4 yards per attempt, 11.1 yards per completion.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
It's just not
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. Should have
It's
had
like a
Bears.
video game
Bears
for
should
him.
have had him.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we won't go there.
No.
For his career, he's gone 50-13 so far in his young career.
Yeah, it's only been 4 years.
Yeah. 4 years, only lost 13 games. Not even a full season's worth of losses.
Oh my God.
Okay. 18,991 yards, 151 touchdowns. Okay. Let's just pause at that for a second.
Yes,
151 touchdowns.
He's fastest ever to get to 100, by the way, because he threw 50 in
his
second year.
season. Yeah. It's,
Winning the MVP,
you want to say his rookie year because he didn't play. He didn't play his first year.
No,
he played a few
one
games.
game.
One
He played
full game.
one game.
Got into a few others.
And he threw a pick, and everyone goes, "Is this the guy?"
Yeah, is he going to be it?
What are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, he has 151 touchdowns in 4 years.
Oh my God.
Be happy, and we'll be miserable.
Yeah,
Still,
we'll lament over that.
It still
for a long
gets me a
time.
little.
Absolutely.
37 interceptions, 66.1 completion percentage, 8.1 yards per attempt, 12.3 yards per completion.
See, in saying that right there, like you see the completion percentage, right, for the career, it's 66.2 and 66.1. Again, I know this is 2 more years added to Mahomes, but even still, you could say he's only 0.1 better than him in the career percentage, and that's just talking about the numbers. You want to go to the whole Windows thing? I mean, again, Mahomes makes a lot of impossible throws possible because of that extra ability. He has that extra gear to kind of come back and fire it. You don't need to be a strong-armed quarterback, mind you. But it does help you get out of situations. What we call them like dumb touch. I call them dumb touchdowns. It's the ones where you throw 2 passes and you're already in the end zone.
Yeah.
Josh Allen can do it. Patrick Mahomes can do it. Watson, I'm sure, can do it. Stafford can do it. There's a lot of the top quarterbacks that can do that, where it's 1 pass for 40 yards and then 1 pass into the end zone.
Yeah.
That kind of, those dumb touchdowns are what make the difference. With Tua, you might get maybe 2 of those out of the year. And that's the problem, is that Mahomes is always going to be the guy that can execute in that moment.
Mahomes has a hell of a lot more pass attempts than Tua has.
Yes.
A hell of a lot more.
He's been healthier.
Not to mention the fact that just looking at their offenses and using the eye test, watching them play, you see the Chiefs throw a lot more than the Dolphins have.
Absolutely.
And that's part of what adds into it as well.
Yeah.
More passes equals more incompletions as well.
Right. And let's not deny the fact, too, that obviously Miami has had dysfunction, right?
Yeah.
I mean, their owner clearly is asking for a new quarterback, right? You've got the general manager who's fighting with the coach about who should be the starter, right? Chris Greer says Tua. I want Tua. Brian Flores says, well, I think we should go with Justin Herbert, even though he doesn't say Justin Herbert. He wants the bigger, stronger quarterback. And then
that would have been a good pick.
Absolutely, that would have been a great pick for them. Right now, that would look insanely good for them.
Oh, yeah, but, with the pieces they put around their quarterback now.
Exactly. Yeah. And then he tries to use Tua, but then he's pulling him out for Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's a whole situation that has just worked against him, unfortunately. And I honestly think he's one of those guys that right now needs maybe a change of scenery, because for what Miami has, it looks good on paper. But for what may come out of this might be a complete headache and sense of confusion. Like Mike McDaniel might be in over his head for what he's in.
And on that same level, since you're right there, all the pressure is on them. Yes. Like you just stated, because of those reasons, it puts all the pressure on them to win and to be a good team and to be competing for playoffs.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough division.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they have to be a team that puts themselves up there at the top and is going to be competing for that division and making it to the playoffs. Hill's comments only increase the amount of pressure on Tua.
Yeah.
Because of now people are seeing this. This is coming from a guy who just got here, who's played with Patrick Mahomes, who's won a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, and now he's making these comments about Tua. You better be that guy, or guess where all the scrutiny's going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Mostly on the quarterback for not delivering.
Right.
But also on Tyreek Hill for like where'd you get this?
So, and that's what I was gonna say, is that as much as the pressure is on Tua, there's also probably not as much, but still added pressure on Tyreek Hill. The only reason I would say not as much, because obviously he's a talented player.
Right.
People are gonna know, like, okay, he's in a new offense, and we know he's really good, and he'll probably put up some good numbers. But and then they'll be like, oh, but also Jalen Waddle's got to get fed too, right? So they'll make they'll find the reasons to say why he didn't really work too well. But I agree with you, like you said, the pressure's on him too, because if you don't deliver, if he doesn't have like a 1,200-yard season with multiple touchdowns, like double-digit touchdowns, I'm gonna look at it as a failure. Especially if Miami is only like 9-8 again.
Yeah.
If they're not an 11-6 team, right there with Buffalo fighting for the division, beating the Patriots, beating the Jets. If they don't beat the Jets,
they better be more than 11-6.
Oh, yeah,
with that team?
Yeah, absolutely.
With that team's talent? They had a good defense last year.
Yeah. And by the way, if the Bears trade them Robert Quinn, then that team should be 12-5 fighting Buffalo all the way. But if you can't beat the Patriots at least once, and if you can't beat the Jets both times, I think this team is going to be set up for another 9-8, maybe 7-10 season, and that's not going to look good for them. That's not going to be enough because that might get them in the wild card, but I don't think that's going to be enough to push them to where they want to go. You get in the wild card, that's fine, but then what? You lose in the first round, probably just whoever, right? Maybe you play Buffalo again. Maybe you have to play New England again. Who knows, right? And if you can't beat the Jets, by the way, you can't beat the Jets at least. You have to beat them both times, I think, because if you lose to them even once, I think you have a lot of work to do. I don't care if Mike McDaniel's your new head coach. You have too much talent to say you're going to lose to the Jets because they got better. They got better.
Very quickly, just a yes or no question. If this team doesn't make the playoffs this year with the way they're constructed and with Tua, are they going for another quarterback next year?
I think they will look into it.
Okay.
I will say, I know that's not a definite yes, but I think they will at least look into it.
I'm with you.
I won't say that. I'm not going to go into it now because obviously that's a whole nother segment for it, but there's at least, I think like now, 10 to 12 quarterbacks that might go in the first round that are projected at least. And
it's going to be a shift from this year for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you need a quarterback, ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorn ready because this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, very fun. Whew. Speaking of fun, we are going to shift gears when we come back, and we're just going to shut up and dribble on the X-Bomb Sports Live show. We are back, and like I said, it's time to shut up and dribble. Well, we're not going to shut up because then what kind of show would this be if we weren't speaking? But the idea is the same.
Yeah, we could do sign language, but I'm not learning that.
We're just going to do what we're here to do.
Absolutely.
And let's talk about some NBA.
Absolutely.
Mostly the Bulls.
Yeah.
Because we have a draft coming up next week.
Mm-hmm.
Bulls with the 18th pick. Should be interesting.
Yep.
Lots of talks and rumors going around. One of them being that Zach LaVine is looking like he is going to sign the Supermax and stay with the Chicago Bulls.
Yep.
He's expected to sign a 5-year, $200 million max deal in free agency. He was cream of the crop in free agency this year, top of the list, and it's looking like he's going to stay in the Windy City and try and win a championship with this team, and hopefully they can add more to him. Are you happy that they're going to sign him to the Supermax? Are you happy he's staying? Do you kind of wish he would have gone elsewhere? Do you wish it would be a sign and trade? How is this news? How do you react to that?
I mean, I really like that sign and trade we keep talking about with Kevin Durant. So I'd really like if that would happen, but I don't think that's going to happen right now. I will say signing for that deal, we've talked about this. Has he really earned the money? No, he really hasn't. But is there any other option out there that's actually better than him at this point? Unfortunately, there's not. There's a few guys in the draft that might be able to develop into that kind of player like he is. I know that for the Bulls, actually, at the 18th pick, they've been talking about Kansas's very own Ajay being Adaje being the kind of guy that might be there at 18, which I would not be against. I like him as a player. In fact, if the Bulls keep that pick, I hope they draft him, because if you're trading on from some of these guys like a Kobe White or whatever, I think he'd be a really good complementary 2 guard. It can be a smaller 3 wing guy that could actually add a lot. So that's just a little draft for you folks. But
and I heard that they're not too thrilled of what could be there at 18.
No,
and they're trying to move out of that pick.
Exactly. So there could
who
be
knows?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I hope we see some madness like we saw in the NFL draft with trades and players going all over the place.
Although it sounds like Karnisovas is going for a young man by the name of Nikola Jovic, I think in his name. So not Jokic, not Jokic, but a very fancy young European player that I've watched his highlights, and he's exactly like what you would think Karnisovas would want. So he's on par. But I think for Zach LaVine, I think it's a good move. It's the move that the Bulls, unfortunately, they're kind of in a position where they have to make. But at the same time, LaVine, I think, has no other option, because anywhere else he signs, he's only getting 150-some mil. With the Bulls, he's getting the extra money. And I think he recognizes that. Also, too, I think he realizes that this is probably one of his best chances to be victorious at the end of the season, to be able to have the Larry O'Brien trophy maybe in his hands. I'm hoping.
Plus,
I hope so.
On top of that, they've been in talks. They've been talking to each other. They've been in close contact. They're having these conversations, and I guarantee you part of this with him coming back is they're like, we are going to get more help.
Yes.
We will be going out to get more help. They are linked to Rudy Gobert and finding a way to make that work. Mm-hmm. They've been linked to some other spots, maybe a Mitchell Robinson.
Please.
But as far as that goes, I'm glad Zach is going to be here, because like I said before, we're better. The Bulls are better with him here than with him gone and not getting anything for him.
Right.
So if they wanted to work a sign and trade and get some player back in his stead, but it's got to make a difference.
Right.
Okay. I would be fine with that, because I trust in what they do, what their plan is, and what they're gonna do. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy he's back. This is just the way NBA contracts go. You're not necessarily worth that money, but that's what happens to when these players to have them there on your team. They get their money. They get their supermax. They get their max deals, and they stay if that's what they choose.
Yeah.
But that's just how the contracts seem to work in the NBA.
Right. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
As far as trying to get them help, that means some players are going to have to be on the move. And there's going to be somewhat of a sale going on here for Chicago Bulls coming up here. There's a lot of talk that Nikola Vucevic and Kobe White will be moved by draft night. Mm-hmm. Whether that's including them with the 18th pick to bring somebody in, whether it's just moving them for a player and keeping the 18th pick. Like I said, they didn't sound like they were too thrilled on what's there. Maybe, who knows? Coach talk as well. They could throw those things out there to deceive other teams and what their plan is. Who knows?
It's kind of nice when that's a thing that can actually be used as a strategy and not as a sucker being born every minute kind of thing that usually happens to the Bulls in the past.
Very much so. Nikola Vucevic, Kobe White's expected to be moved out.
Yeah.
Are you fine with that? Do you see any other players being a possibility to be shipped out to bring somebody in or trade up in this draft or trade back? How do you see that happening?
I know that the word is that obviously AK, I think, would like to kind of hold on to Vooch because he does feel like there's still something there that you can work with. I think Kobe White is a guy that they're very kind of adamant on saying, we've given you enough a chance. We were not the ones that drafted you, so now it's kind of time to start moving on from these, picks that unfortunately just have not been able to make their value, right? And I think guys like Derrick Jones Jr. might also be up there as well. Troy Brown Jr., I think, will be another one that potentially could go too. There's a lot of these guys that are just kind of like the lower level bench role players that kind of come in and feed out here and there that I think are going to actually be gone, because what value do you add to the team, right? Especially if you're trying to add a Mitchell Robinson potentially or some of these other guys from free agency. And I think that Vooch is a guy that they will explore the trade options for, but I think they want to most likely try to keep him, while Kobe White is a guy that I think will have somewhat of an intrigue in the league as far as being a scoring option that could come off the bench. Obviously, he's very streaky, but for somebody that's not looking for a immediate like 6-man coming off the bench, I think he gives at least roster depth. But any move for Rudy Gobert is going to have to include probably those two players,
Right.
especially. The question then becomes, well, is the main thing that everybody wants from the Bulls right now being Patrick Williams going to be out there? And that just seems that's right now the big question mark that seems to be on everybody's tongue right now is, well, okay, so we'll take on Vooch and we'll take on White, but then we also want something else as well. Like, yeah, Vooch is fine. Kobe White, okay, whatever, but we want a future as well. And that's where I think the question is going to come down to. So.
And would you consider Rudy Gobert at this point, the way he has been in the playoffs, the way he has been at the end of the season, the way that there's talk about him not being very well liked?
Yeah.
Do you consider him to be a buy low if they were to trade for him?
I think so. I mean, the problem with Rudy Gobert as well as DeAndre Ayton is that it's with both of them, it seems to be the attitude issue. Can you be friends with your teammates? Can you kind of conform to what your team is? Because clearly Rudy Gobert wanted to be the star, and he was fighting Donovan Mitchell all the way, where Donovan Mitchell was clearly going to be the star no matter what.
Well, if he comes here, he's not going to be the star either.
Exactly.
So.
He's going to have to take a backseat role to both DeRozan and LaVine. You're going to be the third star on this team. I would rather, because I was looking up the numbers, we talked about it with getting a guy like Mo Bamba and getting a guy like Mitchell Robinson. If you look at both of their numbers and say, split down the middle, because they both played about 25 minutes apiece. They both played 24 minutes apiece. They give you the numbers they gave you. You're getting similar, if not more points, definitely more rebounds, more blocks, more steals, better field goal percentage, and you're also getting a little bit more on the fouls as well. But that to me says for the personal fouls that these guys are not afraid to attack, and I like that.
This team needs some angry,
exactly,
some anger down there.
They needed Tristan Thompson, but they needed Tristan Thompson at 26,
right? Not
36,
yeah,
or whatever he is.
The guy that was helping the Cavs win a championship.
Yes, exactly. So bringing in those two guys, because again, Rudy Gobert is going to be 30-some million up to 46 million at his very end of his contract. It's a lot of money.
Very much.
What Aiden wants is like 30-some million a year. That's a lot of money for a guy that is still not proven.
Right.
I mean, young, yes, talented, yes, but still not proven. Well, you could get from two guys, one's 25, one's 24. Both of them great rebounders, both of them defensive specialists. Both of them can dunk it on everybody, and they're mean SOBs. I will take both of them, split the time between the two of them, over Gobert and over Ayton right now, for the sense of it's cheaper, it allows you to spend more money in other places, and it makes the team that much better defensively, as well as gives you an aggression that you've been looking for. I think it's a no-brainer, for me at least.
I'm with you. I like your plan.
Thank you.
Get on.
AK, come on, let's talk.
Get on the phone.
Yeah.
Get him going.
This is the kind of moment where I kind of wish Foreman was still around so we could fire him so then I could take over then. Because I actually trust these guys to possibly be able to see that now and be able to say, you know what, this might be the smarter business sense. But by the way, I will say this too, just real quick. I would not be upset with getting Gobert or Ayton too much. It's just, can they coexist in the team? That's just going to be the big question. But with a guy like Billy Donovan,
right,
I have the full trust that he's a guy, because he can find a way to do it. He and Doc Rivers are two guys that perfectly can find ways to get guys to coexist.
Plus DeRozan.
DeRozan is a guy. He's a dude.
Right.
He's gonna be, hey, what's up, man? Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go out and have a good time. Let's go to a game. Let's go do something.
Even if there were issues, I don't think that DeRozan's the guy that's gonna just sit there and constantly want to go back and forth with you. He's going to be like, we need to figure this out now.
Right. Let's talk it out and then let's squash it and let's move on.
We need to be done with this because we need to win games, and the way that happens is with chemistry on the court.
And then that's what's nice about having a talented veteran.
Exactly. You see what has happened to Utah because of them butting heads and being at each other's throats constantly. Knocked out of the playoffs in the first round consistently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't necessarily think that would be the situation if Gobert came here. I think he'd have to fall in line, and I think he would. But as far as a young rookie on this team that has been a possibility, has been talked about being a trade piece for the past, has been talked about being a trade piece for the future. But now it doesn't look so much like they want to let him out of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with what we saw from him at the end of the season because he spent most of last year hurt.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with him not being included for Gobert. Like I said, I was thinking it more being a buy low on Gobert with his production and the way he produced in the biggest moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're making all that money, but we're not going to give up everything.
Right.
It's like the Khalil Mack kind of deal. Like they took on a lot of that contract and they didn't get as much back because of that contract.
Yeah.
It could be the same kind of scenario here. Buy low, you don't have to give up as much, and then you don't have to give up Patrick Williams, who's a young player, their first real draft pick, and has shown potential and like he could end up to be somebody worth keeping around.
Absolutely.
Do you like Patrick Williams on this team? Do you like that they're talking about not wanting to get rid of him? And I don't want to say it's an untouchable because there shouldn't really be any untouchables.
Yeah.
Because that's more of what the old regime did and screwed us for the future.
Yes.
So what do you think about Patrick Williams and him staying with the Bulls?
I like him a lot. I think he's got a lot of upside to himself. Maybe not as much as we previously believed. I think but he still has so much room to grow. He's 21 years old, right? So by 23, 24, he should be hitting a max of, I would say he's probably should be at that point, similar to what we've kind of seen maybe with like Andrew Wiggins at this point. 17 points, maybe 8, 10 rebounds, something like that. I mean, he's a little bit bigger, so I expect a little bit more rebounding. Definitely more. His defense is solid.
Yeah.
His defense is so solid even at 21 right now, which is great.
He's not even full
he's not even full grown yet, so he's not done growing.
He can still grow.
They said he could max out at possibly 6'10", 6'11", probably weighing in at around 240. So if he can do that and keep his style, geez, I mean, you're getting everything that Ben Simmons should have been. Sorry.
He just couldn't help himself.
Anything to take a shot, folks. Anything
could not
to take
help
a shot.
himself.
Nope, not helping at all. Well, he's done it to himself. So, but nevertheless, this kid absolutely should be considered for the future. Does that mean he should be untouchable? No, I think if a deal comes along that is almost too good to be true potentially, and it does involve him, like a Kevin Durant kind of thing, you definitely have to consider that. I think it's something you definitely have to think about because of how much he changes your game in a massive way. But I think like what you said with Rudy Gobert, the one deal I said was if you're going for a low situation, it was Vooch, Kobe White, and Marko Simonovic, their second round pick, who they got the same year as Patrick Williams, which I think the Jazz might actually bite on. I know they probably want a first round pick for him, but considering that there's probably not going to be that many offers to take on that kind of contract, I think that would be a viable option. If you say then we'll take on a lot more of that money to take on into our cap, it might hurt the Bulls certainly in their cap space, of course, especially signing Zach LaVine, but you're getting a big man back for cheap. You're keeping Patrick Williams. There's a nice 1-2 punch right there at the down low post at your 4 and your 5. You're getting LaVine back as your 1 and 2, with hopefully Lonzo Ball being healthy and getting DeRozan back as your 3. That's a solid lineup if you're going to make that move. I would rather see them keep the paw, keep Patrick Williams, keep developing him, keep working at him. If there's more setbacks in the future, obviously if that comes up, then really consider the possibility of where is he at in our future lineup. Does he have a place with us? Is he a starter? Is he a bench guy? Because you would hope, 4th overall pick, you're hoping he's a starter.
Right.
But if he can be a high contributor coming off the bench too, I'm not opposed to that either. But just see if you can find a place for him. If you can't, then consider the possibilities of what's out there and who would want him.
Yeah, sometimes I think he's a little too timid on the court. You see what happens when he's the aggressor.
Yes.
He can make things happen.
Absolutely.
So I want to see more of that going forward.
Body guys, please.
And at the same time, he could just be a young, shy kid, and he might grow more into his personality.
He's 21.
Yeah, he's still very, very young. So
yeah.
I think the future can be bright with Patrick Williams.
Absolutely.
Well, we did football. We did a little NBA, and that's all we have.
Absolutely. Sorry, folks, we didn't talk about Aaron Rodgers and his girlfriend.
We don't want to go there.
Woman, whatever.
That'll put me to sleep for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So we will avoid that
Yes.
conversation. And thanks for another great show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having
man.
me host. It's always a good time.
Did a
And
fantastic job, amigo.
thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, listen to you, see you, harass you, whatever.
Yeah, well, you guys can hit me up at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram. That's where you guys can mostly hit me. I'm at the Fluffy Guru on Twitter as well if you want to hit me up on Twitter. But if you guys want to catch any more of me, I'm always on the X-Bomb Sports live show here every Wednesday and Thursday doing my thing with my boy Drew here. So make sure to hit me up there. That's it for me.
Absolutely. And if you want to check me out, you can find me here Wednesdays and Thursdays, co-hosting for the X-Bomb Sports live show. And check me out on Instagram at d.gwil25 and Facebook at Drew Gwillem.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Facebook and Instagram, that is our social media.
Yes, sir.
Check us out on Facebook. We have our live stream going there right now.
Yep.
Updates, photos, all that kind of stuff we will throw up for you whenever we get the chance. Check us out on YouTube. We will have our videos up there as well. And excuse me, our Wednesdays and Thursdays shows along with the Blow the Whistle shows as well.
Yep.
Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at XBomb Sports. We will hopefully be doing a lot more social media going forward.
Absolutely.
With hopefully more news and bright spots coming forward as well.
Oh, yeah.
Send all your harassing emails to Andrew at xpsportsofficial@gmail.com.
Just keep them coming, folks. Keep them coming.
I'm not even going to
please.
say send him hate about Tua because
Keep 'em coming.
he surprised me. He didn't even sound
didn't
like
even bash-
he didn't even sound like
Yeah.
you hated Tua
I
today.
didn't even bash that no-throw quarterback that from Alabama that can't throw more than 10 yards. You know, I didn't say anything insulting about a immobilized.
Okay,
out of the pocket
now you're going to
guy.
take shots at the end here. Shots fired.
I'm taking cheap shots at the end. I know I'm a terrible person. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know if I'd go there, but
That's fine.
shots fired.
Yeah.
Especially when you can skate out the side door. Okay. All right.
Get pummeled with tomatoes.
Well, speaking of people you shouldn't pummel with tomatoes because they have some great things going on.
Yes.
Great shows for them. Blow the Whistle. Check them out. Sportstown Chicago every Monday, 2 to 4 p.m. They put together some great shows, great sports news for you all the time. You can check them out there. You can check them out here, 2:30 to 3:30 on Tuesdays. They have great shows live or on the radio. So
Yep.
it is you, Tyler Butterball, and David Dykstra
Yes, sir.
for the radio and TV shows.
Yep.
Awesome stuff. Check them out. Brandon Januska used to be a part of the Blow the Whistle, still is, just not on the set because he is doing some fancy things on 94.3 WMKR.
He's country famous.
Country boy. I don't know why. He doesn't come across as a country boy.
He is 100% hardcore country. It is weird.
Yeehaw, Brandon. Yeehaw. Doing a great job there. Also, along with that, he loves baseball, is very knowledgeable about baseball. So check out Baseball Banter with Brandon. BBD.
It's his
On
alliteration,
Spotify.
man.
Anchor and Spotify for
Yeah.
him. Hannah B, Monday morning.
Monday motivation.
Monday morning motivation. Monday motivation with Hannah B.
There you
If I
go.
could speak. Too much. Too many M's here.
I
Too many
know.
B's there. What's with you people? Did you make this simple?
Guys are our friends.
Yeah. You can check out her podcast on Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Does great work. Along with that, she is on 102.3 XLC.
Yes.
The other one. Does the other one start with a W? I think so. Who knows? She's doing so much work right now.
Showing a star 96.
She's a star right now. So she does the afternoon drive from 3 to 7 p.m. Check her out there. Along with that, she is on 96.90. What is it?
96.3.
90. No, that's
No,
B96.
96.7.
96.7
Thank you.
with Eddie Volkman
Yes.
for your morning drive.
Yes.
New project she's been on for the last handful of weeks,
Sorry,
months,
Hannah.
and she does awesome work. Check her out.
Absolutely.
Listen to her every morning. She does great stuff. Along with that, our guys, T-Lo, Tony Lopez, and Kendall Gill have a great show. The Parlay. Check them out at theparlay.com for all your combat sports needs. Get out there. Hashtag Paul versus Gill.
Gil versus Paul.
Gill
Let's get it
versus
going.
Paul. We want this fight to happen.
We want you, Jake Paul. We want you.
We want to see Kendall Gill whoop Jake Paul's ass on a national stage, on a pay-per-view, you're going to make your money.
Yeah.
All the NBA will be there. You're a clown if you don't take it. You don't know who he is, but you will.
Oh, yeah.
Check him out. Parlay.com. Is that it? Is that all we have? Okay, that's it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening, watching, however you took us in. We appreciate you all because we have nothing without you except for talking to each other.
Absolutely.
We'll get tired of that sometimes.
At points.
Yeah. Have a great weekend. We will see you all next week right here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show.